This is former WWE superstar, ECW superstar Kevin Thorn, now known as Seven Thorn, and you are listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. You want wrestling? You will find it here. Listen up, bitches.
Welcome to In Your Head Wrestling Radio, on the internet icon, the pride of the pilgrims, handsome Jackie Jones, and I'm joined by my right hand. Well, he's not here right now, but I'm joined by Shelly Martinez. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So, I have to know, because I'm a big horror movie fan. What does Shelly Martinez do for Halloween?
Well, Halloween's kind of a year-round thing for me. I am very known for things that typically people would only do during Halloween, and the things I wear or the decor in my home. So it is a lifestyle. But this last Halloween, actually, here, I live in LA, and on Hollywood Boulevard, there's a pop-up bar that's been there for a little while. It's called the Beale House, and it's totally Tim Burtoned out. It's freaking awesome. You got to go there. If anyone listening ever gets down to LA and it's still there, I definitely recommend it if you're a Beetlejuice fan and if you're a Tim Burton fan. And so I just took my sister there with some friends and had like an awesome time, and then just came back to my neighborhood. And, you know, like I said, it's very normal for us. We just feel like we can gussy ourselves up a little extra with the appearance. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Annabelle and I were in LA, and we actually rented an apartment on Hollywood Boulevard, but I don't remember seeing that, or else we definitely would have checked it out.
When was this?
This was, I think, 3 years ago. It was for the Human Centipede 3 premiere.
Okay, yeah. It just started like a couple months ago, like maybe in the summertime.
That's probably going to keep reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds pretty sweet, though. So, what was Germany like? I saw you were in Germany recently.
You know, it was freaking awesome. It was a great way to end my wrestling career, that's for sure. That was my third time going, and it's so crazy because every time I've gone, I was in a totally different place in my life, and therefore kind of a different shade of myself, if you will. So I just feel like what's the right word I'm looking for? Satisfied that I was able to go to Germany for my last in-ring performance. And one of the things that I love about going to Germany the most is not so much the wrestling show and the wrestling, although that's fun and there's a whole awesome vibe about it. But I'm the type of person, I love to go sightseeing. And they are the type of people who love to show people, like my little caretaker, shout out to Arno. He's somebody that's been my handler for the last couple times and was more than happy to go show me around and just see the old school, like, buildings. And, like, I went one time to, the last time I went to this ruin of a church, and back in the day, Hitler bombed it, and it's like what's left of it, and then they made the basement into a museum. So this time I got to go on the outside, but I got to go to their new, like, music where they have their orchestras play, and it was just amazing in a different world. And I think it's moments like that I really would like to encourage wrestlers out there when you travel. Something that Molly Holly had said way back in the day when I was at OVW, she was talking to the girls, and she said, you know, even if you party and you're hungover, if you're, like, especially in a different country, just get up a little earlier and go out and see, because you never know if you'll be there again. And I've definitely done that. When I went to my sightseeing time, this time in Germany, the night before was when I arrived. And so when I got there, I was super hungry because, you know, I had this long flight, and most of it I slept. The food it sucked, unfortunately. So I hardly had anything in my system. And so there I am drinking wine, and then finally I'm eating some food, and then I start taking these German shots. I forget what they're called, but bro, they're like, they will mess you up. No, it's not. I don't like Jägermeister. It's not Jägermeister.
I'm not a fan of licorice, but yeah.
No, I am, but I don't like that one. It reminded me a lot of absinthe, like the real absinthe. So when I had my little sightseeing day, it was hilarious because I was so hungover and I threw up like multiple times, and they were like, "Are you sure you still want to go?" I was like, "Yes, I'll regret it. I know I'll regret it." So it was awesome, and I'm grateful that I was able to go venture out and see everything, because I think that added to my energy going into my last match.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, I'm glad you said that, because I do a lot of traveling for conventions. I host like panels at horror movie conventions, and for years I've been a bunch of places, but like really I never saw the places. I saw like the hotel and the airport, and then a few years ago I kind of did the same thing. Was like whenever you go somewhere, it's a lot of fun to go out, and even if you just go to a restaurant that that's not in your area or something, it's you're gonna see stuff that you wouldn't see. You might, like you said, you might not be there again. So take advantage of it.
So I totally agree. And again, I can't reinforce it enough. Even if you're not a wrestler, people out there just traveling, going somewhere, and maybe you're doing it for work or whatever. It's like when I did last year the WrestleCon, I can't even remember what city it was in, but when I went and did that, a lot of the people afterward would just go to like the bar to go eat or do whatever. And me and Ashley Massaro actually ventured out, and we found this sushi place, and we like had this really awesome night. And like, I think that a lot of people just get so confined because it's comfortable to be like, especially convention life period. It's like you're in that hotel, like you just kind of make it your home, and it's cozy because that's all you have to do is just stay there and you have everything you need. So it's real easy to get kind of hermited in there. And every time I ventured out, even if it was just for a little bit, I've always had some kind of cool moment and something that stuck with me. So people, when you travel, even if it's just for a little bit, half hour, an hour, go do something or see something that you never will probably see again. You just never know.
I agree 100%. And so you said it was your last match in Germany, so you're officially retired from in-ring?
Yes, I decided to do that actually earlier in the year, but I already had committed to the Germany thing the prior year. And again, I thought, you know what, when I agreed to it, I didn't think that I was going to be retiring. So I thought it was really cool that, again, this specific company, DWA Germany, that I would end there because I just have a special relationship with them. And I feel that the reason why is because they've seen me in so many different seasons, because even though I've been there 3 times, it was very sporadic in the in-between time. So they really did see me grow. And I think a lot of people, they think because they see what I write like on Twitter or they watch my videos that they like know me, but it's just different when you're around people for like a couple days and you're kind of, it's almost like living with them, but not really, you know what I mean? Like they're taking care of you, they're taking you to places, you build these, you're in the car with them, so I just feel, I don't know, it was just, that's why they're so special to me. It's not about the wrestling. The wrestling just brought me to them and them to me, but I think it's really cool because a big reason why, or the reason why I decided to retire is because of the behind the scenes stuff that goes on. What was very secondary was what I was doing to my body. So it was primarily because of all the crap that goes along with it. So to end it all in the ring with a company that kind of restored my faith in what I signed up for when I started wrestling. And when I would hear these really cool stories about, oh, well, you're on the road and this is how it is, and these are the bonds and the friendships you get, I really took it to heart. I didn't take it with a grain of salt. So I got really disappointed when a lot of that didn't live up to it. And the Germany people, DWA Germany, really lived up to me, to that whole reason why I wanted to do this stuff.
Well, that's great. When you say like behind the scenes stuff, can you elaborate on that, what you mean? And also, is it in every level of wrestling, like, from WWE to TNA to independence, or is it different depending where you are?
No, it's not. And that's the misconception. And that's actually something that I even thought until I did this kind of second run in the indies before I decided to retire. So I could sit here and talk about it forever, but long story short as I can make it, it's not just the politics, okay? Because there's like politics everywhere, right? Like you go to any kind of job, there's going to be politics, there's going to be cliques, and I get that. So that's not what I'm upset about. What was disappointing to me was discovering people who I thought were my friends, and at the end of the day, they were in for themselves, and it was all about the wrestling. And I thought I built these friendships that were above the wrestling. And then when I realized that it's kind of a normal thing, I just wasn't down with the program. And then on top of it, I really am bothered by, okay, if people want to sleep their way to the top or for opportunity, because I'm not even talking about wrestling, just in life. If somebody feels that if they sleep with someone, they're going to get an opportunity, that is their business. That is none of my business. And I don't judge that. That's not for me, but I'm, Shelley, I'm a person. So that's why I could never judge anybody to do that. And there's a lot of people I know that they know I don't judge them. So they're very open with me. And they've told me what they've done for their spots. And they're successful, so it works. So cool. Like, they're fine with it. They're okay with it. What I'm not okay with is when you're doing the hookup that everyone involved isn't on the same page, meaning if there's a significant other on either side or in both, and that significant other doesn't know what's going on, that's not cool. Because then it's not just about the cheating, it's about people's health. So that's what I have a problem with. And I just wanted to like break it down like that so people don't misinterpret what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So that started to really bother me because I was in entertainment before wrestling. And I already knew how it worked anyways. Like, that's just like everything that's coming out right now out of Hollywood with the Weinstein era and everything, it's not new. It's just like now getting attention. Yeah. So I was fine with that's just how it is, okay? Like, okay, whatever, that's just how it is. But what I'm not cool with is when people are like myself and we are like a type of person to be like, you do what you got to do. But then we get punished and we lose out on opportunities because of that behavior. So when I realized that, because I didn't really think of it in those terms before, it was more just like, oh, like whatever, it's their deal, whatever. It's not cool that they're cheating, but whatever. So now, like when I talk about it, it's like that's what my problem is. And then not only that, but that there's guys that are not gay and they do gay acts for opportunities. And it's not just WWE. I mean, these things happen on the indie level as well. And that was an eye-opener to me, too, because I thought it was just WWE. So I kind of felt like, okay, WWE is not a place for me because I'm not cool with the program. So when I started and I went back into the independents, I saw it was the same damn thing. And to be honest with you, now that I'm saying it out loud, there's a reason why it's all the same, because they know how it is up there. They hear it, so they're just going to copy it because everyone wants to, be a Vince McMahon or whatever. I don't know. So all this like weird sexual stuff just started to really bother me. And when I started talking about it, people who like that I'm talking about would confide in me. And that's why I have the confidence to speak on it. And people sometimes say, oh, we need names. It's like, no, you don't. And the reason why I'm going to keep talking about it is because the people who I'm talking about, some of those people are people who I know and I call a friend. So they tell me what they do. So I know for sure I'm not just being some bitter vampire out there or whatever. This is what's up. So I just was just like, dude, it just sucks because at the end of the day, it's about our souls. And there's people out there in wrestling, and I've seen them lose their souls in wrestling. And so I'm not trying to make people not be a fan of wrestling. I want people to cheer. I remember how it used to feel to be watching TV and you got that feeling in your stomach. You're like, oh my God, he's going to get him. And that I lived for those moments. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, Shelley, me as a performer, and you asked why. And that's the short answer. And I know it's a lot. but I just couldn't do. You know what? Okay, I got the short answer. That world's just not for me. After all, that's what it is. It's just not for me.
Do you think being open about it, and then it gives other people they can be open about it too when they see other people talking about things? Do you think that will help change that in wrestling?
I hope so, but here's why I say it with a kind of defeated voice. Earlier in the year, if some of the people that are people who follow me, you may remember I was tweeting a lot about the pedophiles in Hollywood because I was watching documentaries on them. And then that kind of sparked me and it reminded me a lot of the things that I saw or people told me about happened to them in wrestling. So then I started for the first time ever, and it was so strange because you would think out of all these years of me being away from WWE that I would have Googled them or YouTubed them and find out information, but I just never thought of it. And for some reason, with this pedophile in Hollywood documentary I was watching, it made me go Google Vince McMahon gay and, sex scandals in WWE, and all this stuff was popping up. And I was like, dude, these are like fans making these videos. So if it's so common knowledge that fans know about this, like, I can totally talk about this because, like, to be honest with you, I didn't know how to even go about it fully. And there'd be times I would just, like, say whatever. But it really changed things for me. And I was like, dude, this is so crazy. And then, again, it made me realize that if fans know that's normal, that is definitely not a world for me. So then I thought, why the hell did Sable sue WWE? So then I looked that up. And then, of course, I stumbled upon a couple other videos, which was Nicole Bass and China. And after my departure from WWE, I became friends with both of them. More China than Nicole Bass. And I really had a cool connection with them. And it's not like we were BFF or anything like that, but we definitely had some very serious conversations. And it's crazy because I was just kind of in the moment with these two. So I wasn't like looking stuff up on what they've talked about or anything. I just didn't even think about it. So I click on these videos, and when I'm watching them, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why these women liked me. It's because they knew who I was. And I thought, how the hell does China, for example, know who I am? Oh my goodness. So now, because of how everything went down with me getting fired from WWE, I'm sure they totally heard about it or whatever. So it made sense to me why I clicked with them, because here are these women saying everything that I have been saying lately that people are getting pissed at me about. And that was so long ago. And it kind of just fizzled out. And then they both unfortunately passed away. So I hope the way they inspired me to share my truth, I hope by me speaking, whether it be on this platform or on my social media or whatever, that other people can get inspired to speak their truth, because it is scary. And the reason why I just don't care anymore is because when I was doing all that research and finding all this stuff, I got really disgusted. And at that point, I was going through a bad time because wrestling just really broke my heart, especially the people in it. And I just didn't trust anybody. I thought everyone was fake and phony. It was crazy. Like a whole year before, like this whole, like I was looking on YouTube, it was really rough. I gained like 25 pounds and I was really depressed and very unmotivated. And so it all kind of came together. And I thought, the only reason I should do wrestling is if it's worth my while. And the only way it'll be worth my while, like money-wise, is WWE. And I'm still not down with the program there. So I guess I'm just not going to do wrestling anymore. And I'm not saying everybody does this, by the way. I'm just saying it happens. Just throwing it out there. Like whenever I post things, I always say I pick my wording carefully because it's not everybody.
Right.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say, like you said too, if someone else does, I mean, there's only so many spots, on a roster, and only so many people that can get pushed. And if someone is doing, even if it's their own decision, it, that's one less spot for someone who doesn't want to do something like that.
Exactly. And I get it. Like, that's just life, right? Okay, so fine. I'm just not okay with the shadiness, and like how things are so just glossed over and people's lives truly get affected. And when wrestling is all gone, that's why you hear these sad stories about people. And to be honest with you, when I was going through a lot, ever since like WWE fired me to today, it's one of those things where I've had this continuous battle of, you feel this, it's like a self-worth and a loss. Like, I really feel last year my soul knew my end was coming, and it was like I was going through a horrible breakup, that just effed me up, and it was so freaking weird. It was the weirdest experience, and I've had some bad times with wrestling and being mad at everybody and being mad at how everything is, but last year was different. And it was so crazy because there was times where I looked in the mirror and I was like, who the hell am I? And it's like a scary feeling, like really, really scary feeling. And it made me almost relate more to these people who were before me. So they must have had that moment a long time ago, and I get it. And that's why when people are always all drunk, or everyone makes a joke that so-and-so, that the WrestleCon all effed up again, and everyone thinks it's all funny. No, it's not. They're hurting people. And I really wish that more mental health was promoted, and help for that in wrestling, because when it's all gone, you only got yourself. And I've heard too many horror stories from people from their own mouths. I lived my own darkness. And so I'm just trying to share my journey. So really, like, no offense, fans. I love you guys. I love the fans. I love, love, love the fans. But the reason why I'm trying to be so vocal and kind of rambling about things, is I do have a lot of information I'm trying to get out there, is I just want the people involved in wrestling to hear this. And I know they will, because they're going to be like, yo, did you hear that Shelley said blah, blah? Yeah, I did. And I'm saying it for you guys, because somebody needs to help validate what's wrong and what's right. And I know a lot of people, they struggle with that. I've struggled with it. So I just don't care, because I just don't want a job there. So I don't care. Like, what are they going to do? Not hire me? So I don't care. I don't care if they don't use me. I don't care if they never recognize I did anything for them. I don't care.
Yeah, I know you've talked about this before, but for people who haven't, I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but what did lead to your firing in WWE?
Oh, so what had happened, this is all I can do is tell you facts, okay? Mm-hmm. So here's some facts. I was having some personal issues with Batista backstage, because he was involved with one of my friends at the time. And I'm the kind of person that I always have my friends' back. I know some people think it's a little harsh, but for example, if you're like I'm tight with you, like you're my homie. If you don't like somebody and you share with me why, and it totally makes sense, I will automatically not like them. It doesn't mean I'm going to be a bitch to them, but I'm not going to invest trying to get to know them. I'm not going to invest opening myself up to them, because their character already kind of was previewed to me through a friend. So I'm just kind of old school like that. So I just was being my friend's friend, hardcore. And now that I'm saying it like that right now, I realize why that looks so aggressive. Like, I bet you to Batista, he probably took that as a very aggressive thing, because that's just not how it is in wrestling. Everyone makes smiles at each other for the most part and pretend to like each other, but then talk about each other. So I'm the type, if I don't like you, I just don't like you, whatever. So that's how it started. And then he stopped shaking my hand because there's this whole thing where when you get to a show or when you leave a show, you're supposed to shake everybody's hand out of respect. So he stopped shaking my hand. So what I started to do was when he would walk away, I would let him get just far enough. And I would say, "Hi, Dave. I don't think you saw me. I'm right here." Just to, first of all, because it was funny. But second of all, because I wanted everyone to take notice that I wasn't the one not shaking his hand. He was not shaking my hand. So if it ever came back to me, at least I had that story, the little stories of me kind of goofing off on him. So then the next thing I know, I end up in the office with John Laurinaitis and Batista, and I was really taken back by it because I didn't understand what was happening. He never said why. He was never like, "Oh, well, forget you, you're going to be on her side, whatever." Yeah, it was never anything like that. So that's why I was confused. So then Johnny Ace was just like, "Hey, what's the problem? I can't have talent not getting along." And that's when I said, well, I don't understand what the problem is either. So then I started to talk to just Batista, and I was like, we were friends. Like, what the hell? And that's when he said, "Oh, you and your friend, it's like you guys have the same brain and you guys have to think alike." So that confirmed to me that that's what his problem was, is that maybe he felt I was being meddlesome, but really I was just being there for my friend. So he storms out, and it's so dumb. I was like, I kept it together. I was like, yeah. But then as soon as he left, I totally got choked up. And Johnny A looked at me and I was like, "I thought we were friends." It was so funny. But I was like, so I remember feeling so shocked. Like, why am I crying and why am I being this way? But I guess it just really did hurt me, So then he told me, "Okay, look, you have to shake his hand." And I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll do it. I'll try." So I did, and he rejected it. So I kind of just was like, why bother? So I went to Johnny Ace. He's like, "Okay, I'll tell him that I told you to stop going up to him then." And I was like, great. So then fast forward to WrestleMania weekend, or week rather. My sister, she was in high school at the time, and I was able to fly her into town, which was really awesome because when we were little, we would go to church on Sunday, and then after church, we'd watch wrestling, and we'd see Goldust always sticks out to me. We've been watching Goldust. I'm like, one day I'm going to be there, and you're going to be there with me. So talk about being on a high, right?
Yeah.
So we're in the elevator. It's like a little secret one for all the talent to be able to get in and out of the hotel because of the fans that camp out there. And he was one of the wrestlers in there, so it was really awkward. I was like, oh gosh, what do I do? Like, oh my gosh. So then, of course, Danielle, my sister, Danielle and I are the first ones to get out. So I just kind of generally said goodbye to him. "Bye, everybody." And then as the doors were closing, he went, "Douchebag." And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, come on. So then at the show, Johnny Ace asked me how things were going, and I told him what had happened. He said he was going to talk to him, told me to stay away from him. Then, like a couple days later, or maybe it was I don't even remember the Raw after WrestleMania or the SmackDown. I can't remember. But one of those shows, which was my last one, I had totally got into it with this other guy I sound so bad. I got into it with this other guy in catering. And the reason why I did was he was dating one of the girls on our roster, and she was my friend. And they had Diva Search girls coming in, and he was totally sitting with this girl, and he was all flirting with her. And my friend was really upset. And again, maybe some people say I shouldn't have said anything, but I was just being me. So across the room, I was like, "Hey, so-and-so, why don't you come sit next to your girlfriend? Your girlfriend right here." So he totally gets mad, storms out. I come to find out later through other people who were there, like at the time I didn't know them, but they were extras for the show. Mm-hmm. They told me, and they filled in some blanks. So here's an exclusive. I've never talked about this part before. So they told me that he was in some kind of like closet or something like that in the back in like the dressing room. And this person told me they just heard this person like cursing and, "Oh, effing bitch." And then it was him, and that he was having this whole tantrum about me saying that. So that was really interesting to me because I never knew that it was like that. I just was like, hey, you're being a douche. Like, stop being a douche. So afterwards, he stormed out and he went back to catering. And I went back up to him, and I remember Tommy Dreamer was right there. He was like, Shelley, just walk away. And I was like, fine. So then the show was about to start, and Kevin Thorn and I are about to go on live next. And a little side note, Ozzy Osbourne was there with his band all day, and his band loved my look. They loved my vibe. So they waited to leave. Ozzy had already left, but the band stayed to watch Kevin and I perform because they just thought it was so cool. So I was excited about that. I was like, that's so cool. Like, freaking Ozzy's band wants to see us perform. Like, that's rad. And I mean, because I was the girl who was always going to Ozfest back in the day, you know, so I just loved that. So I was, again, once on my little high, you know, feeling good. And then I see that guy in catering whispering to Batista. So then I knew, oh no, it's on. It's going down. It's going down. So then that's when Dave shouted from across the room something like, hey, that thing that happened in catering, that was none of your business. So why don't you mind your own effing business? And I thought about it, and I was like, dude, I have an action figure coming out. I flew Danielle out. I told her she was going to be there one day. I got to be a freaking vampire. I mean, I've always loved horror and being a vampire. I was bitten when I saw the 80s movie Lost Boys. So, you know, I've been a vampire before wrestling. So I just thought it was like, you know, I had a good run, a good little short run, but a good run. Because I knew I'd get fired. I knew it. So I said, well, last I checked, you weren't in catering, so why don't you mind your own effing business? So then he got in my face and just talked down to me, told me I was nothing in the business and that I didn't put asses in seats. And that's when I knew, F this, dude, because if Ozzy's band didn't specifically stay there to watch Kevin and I think that those words would have really affected me in a different way. But I knew Ozzy's band was staying there just to see me go hang upside down. So I do put asses in seats. So I fired back, and he ended up like pushing his middle finger in my face, and so I slapped it out of my face. And I told him, you know, a real man would have pulled me aside and chewed me out, but you just wanted to pop the boys, I guess. So F you. I don't care what you think of me. Then he stormed off, and what's funny is, you know, Punk was right there, and I went because like, we're going to go on live TV, so I needed some hairspray. You know, I used to tease that hair up. I needed to keep it in place. So I went to rush to get the hairspray, and Punk thought I was going after Batista. So he grabs me. He's like, Shelley, no. And it was just like a movie, a bad comedy, everything that was going down. So anyways, I knew I was going to get fired. Johnny Ace comes back with Batista. He asked me what happened. I tell him. And he asked Batista if it was true. And he said, I don't know. But now I forget what he said. I forgot what he said, some remark, and he flipped me off again. And I was like, dude, what's your problem with me? Like, be a man and look me in the face and tell me what your problem is. And he just kept saying F you over and over and flipping me off and stormed off. I thought Johnny Ace was going to be like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you've been leaving him alone and doing everything we said. But no, he's like, how dare you talk to top male talent that way? And I was like, what? Are you kidding me right now? Are you serious? Because for me, it wasn't like I was like, F you, man. I was just like, hey, be a man. Like, I was just like calling him out. You know, I didn't need a shout. So he told me, how dare I? I said, you know what? I don't care who you are. If you come at me and disrespect me like that, I am going to stick up for myself. So I'm going to go out there and do my job now. So can we talk about this later? So we go out there, and the match was kind of dull, and nobody was really into it. And then there was these guys, a couple rows of guys, and they just started like kind of chanting for me. So then I was like, you know what? I know this is my last time here. So I kind of like ate it up, and I got a little Ariel chant going for a little bit. I was like, take that, Batista. I put asses in seats, man. And then when Kevin won the match, I kind of get a little choked up when I like do a bow with him because I know that's my last time. And when I went to the back, I'll never forget, I went up to one of my friends and I was like, I know I'm going to get fired. They're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. I was like, dude, I'm going to get fired. Watch. And then sure enough, 2 days later, I got fired. And I don't know. That was really the eye opener for me, that I just didn't belong, like I was saying earlier, because when Johnny Ace called me to fire me, he's like, but keep in touch because you never know. And I started laughing. And he's like, why are you laughing? And I said, you know what? If this is how it goes down, like, I'm good. Thank you guys for the opportunity, but I don't think I want to be a part of your company anymore. Thanks. So what makes me look foolish is there's been many years, like, in between when that happened and now, like 10 years. And so there's been times in my life where I totally was struggling, like, financially. And I was just like, dude, maybe all I can do is just go back to WWE. So they probably laughed their asses off when, like, I would try to go back. And sometimes they dangled the carrot. Like, they acted like there may be an opportunity for me, or it'd get back to me that they're mentioning my name for stuff. And I'm glad it didn't happen, because there's times where I'm like, dude, even if it's just like for a few months, like, I just need to get back on my feet because I know my bookings will go up and blah, blah, blah. And then, like, even one time I was a damn rosebud. How about that? So, like, you know, and that was crazy too, because the last time I was on a WWE stage and in Gorilla was when all that went down, when I just told you about. So for me, when I went back years later as a rosebud, I was tripping out. I was like, dude, there's Gorilla. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it was like deja vu. And I know people will probably get pissed at this, but I smuggled in vodka and I was on an edible. So I had an edible and I put vodka in my Gatorade. So I just like party the whole time. And I just remember my friends were extras with me, a couple of my buddies, and they're like, Shelley, you're crazy. I was like, oh, wow, what are they going to do, fire me again? And I found, like, because, you know, the Rosebuds, they always had, like, little accessories. And one of the accessories they had was a sombrero. And I was like, perfect. So I just had it on, and it was so much fun. And so, you know what? Now that I'm kind of remembering that, it's kind of cool that maybe my exit out kind of sucks, but no pun intended. But, you know, I did get to, like, go through Gorilla one last time and it be a positive experience. I never thought of it like that before. So I guess, you know what, I really truly am done with them, because any unfinished business, I got my energy back that day. Whoa, you see what just happened on your show?
Yeah, that's excellent. And the good thing about vodka, it just looks like water. Not that I would know anything about that.
I know.
You can just put it in a water bottle.
Too bad.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't stink too bad. Like, as long as you, like, make sure you got some gum and, you know, maybe brush your teeth and maybe mix it with something fruity. You know, I had that Gatorade going on, so it was to help mask it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I believe, actually, my co-host here is 1 Inch Biceps. Are you with us now?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent.
Hi.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Nope. We saw your documentary recently. Well, you're part of the documentary, Ballerina, I'm Not. And we had her, I'm sorry for getting her name, Frankie. And she was a great guest. She was on the show. How did you get involved in that?
Okay, first of all, did you like it?
I can't say I was a big fan of the documentary.
Okay, we'll get back to that then. Okay, so Frankie and I have been friends for a really, really long time. When I came back from Louisville, Kentucky, because I'm from California, and I had to move to Louisville when I was under contract, because at first I just went to OVW. So when I moved back, that's when I started, like, flirting with doing custom wrestling, and that's how I met Frankie. She was doing custom wrestling as well, and we just built a bond, and to this day we're still friends. And because we built a real friendship and it wasn't just a positive working relationship, she knew all these different elements to what makes me me, and the different experiences that I had. And her and I actually had a lot of different experiences together where, like, just crazy Hollywood nights or shady people. Like, we've really gone through a lot. So the wrestling aside, we've grown as friends together. And then you throw in that we know each other through wrestling. And then she comes up with this concept of having this documentary. I thought it was really cool because I wanted to be a part of something that would empower my friend. And then not only that, but it was something that was so close to home for me. So I felt like it was a perfect project to get involved in, because I always want to support my friends, but it's like not just, oh, okay, we're going to go do like a little cool comedy video, where it was like it had meaning behind it and telling that story and from different points of view. And I was supposed to watch it last week and I didn't because I just got tied up. And so this week I'm going to watch it and do a review on it. So why didn't you like it?
It's been a little. I got the screener, so it's a little while ago when I watched it. I didn't dislike it, but I don't know. I'm used to that. Usually, I don't know why I didn't like it. I'm trying to think what was wrong with it. Do you remember? Did you watch it too, right, Incher?
Yeah, I just got the screener right before the show, and I watched up to. I ran out of time, so I couldn't finish it. But
I should rewatch it. I'll rewatch it.
You guys know what? You guys need to rewatch it because
she was great on the show. Honestly, she was not just because you're here or anything, but she was a very nice guest, very funny, and just a nice person too.
No, she's awesome, and she's been through a lot. You know what I mean? And having the guts to put herself out there like that and share her story, and I don't know. I think you need to rewatch it, amigo. Both of you, amigos.
I will definitely rewatch it, and I'll give you my honest opinion.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And everyone out there, you need to go watch it too. It's on Amazon. Ballerina, I am not.
Yes. Now, you mentioned earlier about when you were a wrestling fan and you have like the oh my god moments, like, oh, this is cool. What were some of those moments for you once you got into wrestling that like you'll always remember? Like, oh, this is a really cool thing I got to do, or a match you're part of, or just a moment you were part of?
That's a really good question. A moment that I was a part of. I don't know. I do have one that I do put in the back of my pocket, but I know there's got to be more updated ones. But so I'll go. Maybe it'll inspire me. So before I was Ariel in OVW, I was part of a group that was Beth Phoenix, Aaron the Idol Stevens, who later became Damian Sandow, and myself. And we had a really cute gimmick. It was one of the things where it was kind of like a play off of Two-Face and Batman, where she was like the good girl and I was the like dark, like sexy vixen, and she was like the beautiful, like innocent girl, but not girl. So it was really cool, and WWE did try it out on the road. And the first night we were in, where were we? I can't remember, somewhere in the East Coast. I want to say Buffalo maybe. And Aaron Damian Sandow wrestled Matt Hardy. And we were just like all into it, and it was really cool because at the time we were all really good friends. It was like, oh my gosh, like again, going back to those stories you hear about, like, oh, and then you make it with your friends and blah blah blah. So I was like totally living in that, and it was cool. And it was Jamestown, New York. I'm sorry, Jamestown, New York. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure, Jamestown, New York, because that's where Lucille Ball is from, and I love Lucille Ball. So, I'm pretty sure that's where it was. So when I stopped the twist of fate from happening, I think that's when it hit me exactly what I had been doing all these years. You know what I mean? Because you get in this mode where you're hungry and you want it and you're trying to make your dreams come true. So it's kind of like you don't get to enjoy these moments. So like my payoff moment was that. And then when I can't even remember what we did to cheat, But what I do remember is when we came together and Aaron got out of the ring and we were huddled up, the way the crowd booed, it was so many boos, and they were legitimately so mad at us that the boos vibrated in my chest. And I was so overwhelmed. And it's like I fell in love. Like, it just was crazy. And then I remember when we were huddled up, Aaron said, "Do you guys feel that?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're feeling it too." And it was just a really, really awesome feeling. And I know it's so simple, and it's not about doing some crazy move or some crazy whatever. It's not even talking about a WrestleMania moment. It was just so what I signed up for in that moment. And it was so genuine. And we did a good job of making, because, yeah, it's Matt Hardy, it's easy, whatever, but they could have not cared about it. But we made that crowd just be pissed. So that was a really awesome moment. And maybe I need to remember that moment when I don't feel so good about myself sometimes. Yeah. Like, I had that moment.
Yeah, sounds like a good time. So who was in charge of OVW when you were in OVW? Was it Cornette or was it after?
Well, it's funny because when for those of you who don't know, Jim Cornette was in charge over there at OVW, which is in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's where at one time, the developmental territory for WWE. And he got fired because he got into this whole thing with Santino Marella where he like slapped him and like it was crazy. So that was my first day there.
Oh, really?
My first day there was when that happened, and I saw it all happen. And I was like, "Oh my God, what the hell is going on?" So then the next day, they said that he was going to be with us, and then Al Snow was there, so he was like one of the people in charge as well. So then that's when Paul Heyman came down, and so it was kind of like I was there in the transitional period through that, and then I was there when Paul Heyman was making CM Punk a star.
When you say that, like, was it clear that that Heyman, saw a lot in CM Punk?
Dude, all of our shows were very centered around CM Punk, and I'm not saying that like in a hater way. It was good. I mean, it was awesome, and rightfully so. Like, his segments, and I know a lot of times there was this guy who would always wrestle named Brett Albright, and a lot of people, just being real, sorry, no disrespect, but a lot of people looked at him as kind of like a douchebag, like in the school. So they would always be like, "Oh, it's all about him and Punk and blah, blah, blah." So yeah, it was, but it was good stuff. So you can't really dispute when you got good stuff that you're producing,
Sure.
So, but yeah, and Punk would stay with Paul and go over the show, and they would make the show together, and he seemed to really just taking Punk under his wing. And I thought it was really cool because, I know that in the office at WWE, they were really trying to, prior to that, I feel that they hired Punk just to make it to where he couldn't have any other bookings and make money elsewhere. Because, like, they were, like, effed with him all the time, So I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, dude, like, finally someone's sticking up for the guy and sees something cool in him that can be awesome for wrestling. So, and then lo and behold, how many years later, how it is now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, did Heyman have any say in you becoming Ariel and being part of the new ECW?
I'm not sure. I have no idea, because how that all kind of came about was I thought I was going to be with Aaron and Beth on SmackDown. And then after we did our run, they said it was like a full loop of shows that we did. And they said that they liked what we were doing, but they wanted Beth to be in the women's division. They wanted Aaron to be a tag team. And they wanted me to be with Paul Burchill, because at OVW, I was in a storyline where I was, even though I was in that little group with Beth and Aaron, I was obsessed with Paul Burchill. And it's so funny because I went to visit California for some kind of holiday, and I went to Disneyland. I'm a total Disney girl. And so I went to Pirates of the Caribbean in the little shop it dumps you off at. I bought this pirate hat, and Beth and I used to do themed outfits. And I was like, oh my gosh, you should totally be Tinkerbell and I'll be Captain Hook. So that's what we did. And then Paul, I remember when he saw me, he was like, oh my God, did you know that we're going to do this thing with Paul Burchill and you? And he's like now a pirate on TV. And I was like, what are you talking about? So he told me I was going to be with Paul Burchill, and then nothing really happened out of it. And then they used to do a thing when WWE was in town. They would have the developmental people, they would pick who they want to go to the show to get like a look at. Mm-hmm. And I was one of them, and they never really saw me. So I was like, screw it. So I went up to Vince and I was like, hey, my name's Shelley. I'm the OVW. I'm doing this thing with Paul Burchill. He's totally missing something. I think it's me. So can I get an opportunity to be with him tonight? And he was like, okay, we'll put you on Velocity. So really, my first character before Ariel was Pirate Shelley. And I did the upside down thing and everything because I did invent that, by the way. So after that, they decided they weren't going to keep him as a pirate anymore. So they didn't use me after all. And then shortly after that, the talks of ECW was coming out. And that's when they were just going to, the talk was they were just going to do the one pay-per-view. And then one day, Dreamer pulled me aside once everything looked like it was a go for it to be on TV and be like a show, not just the pay-per-view. And he told me that they wanted me to be a tarot or a witch, and then I was going to be a vampire, and then that's what I was going to be with Kevin Thorn. And what's crazy is when I first got hired, they told me that they were going to make me, Kevin, and Jimmy Wang Yang, for some reason, vampires with Gangrel. And so my first week of being there, like my first day was Cornette slapping Santino Marella, which is crazy because later Santino became my roommate. So like it's all connected. And then when I was supposed to debut originally as a vampire, that same week, they ended up letting go of a bunch of people because it was right after WrestleMania, and they let go of people, and they let go of Kevin, Jimmy Yang, and Gangrel. So I was like, wait a minute, I thought I was going to be a vampire. That's freaking awesome. So it was so crazy and that was in July. So it's so crazy that a year later in July, I ended up being a damn vampire any damn way because that's who I am, bitches.
So did they, when they give you that, like how much, well, you said you were a vampire anyway, but like how much prep time do they give you before you actually debut on TV with, as the vampire duo? Or is it just kind of like,
I feel it was a couple weeks. It was a couple weeks because I would be at TV, but we wouldn't come out. We would just be filming vignettes. I don't know if anyone out there remembers them. They're really cool. Really, really cool. I just remember one right now where there's all these candles and we're in some creepy attic. I think we're in New York, and some awesome old building. Oh, it's that ECW building, that old ECW building.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah, that one. Like we did creepy videos in there, and like it was really cool. Like I feel really blessed in the sense like that not only did I get to be a character that I was already all about aside from wrestling, but the direction they were taking us, I was really happy with. Like these videos we did, and they never even said at least to me, no one ever instructed me to do anything. So as far as I'm concerned, they just let me do my damn thing. Like they never said, oh, we want you to try this or don't do that. Like the only thing they said is I need to cover my butt more. I mean, that's about it.
I'll disagree with that one. It was, I thought it was I liked it. I thought it was a very memorable act on the show. I was a big fan. And what was Kevin Thorn? What was you're welcome. And not this year, I really enjoyed it. What was Kevin Thorn like? Did you get along with him?
Well, it's crazy because Kevin, I got to know him a little bit because he would come around OVW because what had happened is when he got fired, he continuously came around anyways, like throughout the year. So I got to know him a little bit, and he, to be honest, was just very negative and just like negative and like mad. And then when we became vampires, we traveled together at times and stuff like that. And even though he wasn't always like that, when he would get into these grumpy moments or whatever, and I'm so straightforward, I think that's why we butted heads. So we really did have like a brother and sister kind of vibe going on. And it's so funny because we look all sexual out there. And there's times where before I bend back, when he'd have his like cane thing and I'd be all up on him, I'd be whispering in his ear and I'd be talking total crap to him, like for real. Being like, you know what, F you, like blah, blah, blah. And so it's crazy because we just had that magic no matter what. And there was times where I totally told him off and we were not speaking, but when it was time to go, we did. And then fast forward a couple years later, I bumped into him and he actually apologized to me and said that he didn't appreciate me, and he realized after I was gone how much I was a part of the act and how important I was. And I thought that was really cool because A, not everybody gets that. And B, when he said that, it was at a time in my life where I really needed to hear something like that. So since then, we still talk. We still keep in touch. And there was even a time where I had this stupid boyfriend and he ended up cheating on me, and I broke up with him. Kevin was going to be on a show that he was on. He's like, do you want me to beat him up? And I was like, it's okay. It's all right. But I just thought, oh, like, that's so
yeah,
cute.
exactly. That's very nice offer, right? Yeah.
he was very serious. He's like, I'll do it. And I was just like, it's okay, it's fine. And so that's who Kevin is to me. We have butted heads, but, we've always, at the end of the day, got along. And it really meant a lot to me when he said that, because going back to, like, the fake and phony people, there was a lot of people who were totally like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe, like, things went down the way they did. He lied to us. And then, like, I would see pictures on Instagram of these people with him. And then I would be like, dude, like, I thought we were friends. You said all these things. You're giving me all these gossipy details of what's going on over there. And they would say, oh, it's just wrestling. You know how wrestling is. And it really, like, was like, dude. So when Kevin, somebody who has been there with me in WWE and went through all that, and at the end of the day, he's the one that says, do you want me to beat him up? I think that's really cool.
Yeah. You mentioned Lost Boys, which I'm a big fan of as well. What do you think of this? What do you think of the song "I Still Believe"?
I Still Believe.
That's the song that the guy's playing on the saxophone.
The saxophone song, yeah. The dude that's all oiled up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is always, like, when me and my friends got to bust out all the jokes. I didn't realize that was the name of the song, though.
Right,
I shouldn't, because I'm always distracted telling jokes about the dude on the sax.
Yeah. What's funny is he does conventions now, and he looks. I mean, he still dresses exactly the same. He's got no shirt on, and he has chains and the saxophone.
How else would everyone know who he is?
That's very true. He still looks pretty much the same. So good for him. But what other vampire movies did you like? Or horror movies in general?
Well, I credit Psycho for being my favorite horror movie. I love Hitchcock.
As well?
I'm very, like, more of a psychological thriller person, really, versus, like, guts and all that. So, Psycho, Bird, let's see what else. There's this one horror movie, and a lot of people probably don't know it, and it's so bad, it's so awesome, and it's called The Abomination. That is definitely in my top 5. And even though it's not horror, but I guess you can lump it in, another movie that I only watched it once, but I need to watch it again, that actually affected me a lot, was that movie Mother that a lot of people said they didn't like.
Oh, the recent one?
Yeah. So I'm not saying that's my favorite horror. I'm just throwing it out there because it's something I recently saw that I guess can fit the genre that I liked, and it, like, a lot of people said they didn't like it, and I was very disturbed by it for like a really long time, to be honest, a few months. I would talk about it, and like people would be like, "Dude, you're still talking about that movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, the baby, yeah." But so I don't know. And then I like the old school ones, like the original Mummy and the original Dracula and you know, the old school stuff.
Yeah,
I'm very old school
Universal
about it.
monster movies, Frankenstein.
So, you know, yeah, Frankenstein. There's a movie called Gothic I like a lot too. That's another one that a lot of people probably know. It's really weird. Really weird.
That's the one about Mary Shelley and
yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's a good movie. I haven't seen that in a long time. Yeah. But yeah, the original, actually my two favorite, probably original Frankenstein and Psycho. It's hard to beat Norman Bates.
It really is. And what's interesting is a lot of people don't know that there's like other psychos out there where they build on, like, I remember the last one I saw, I don't know which one it is where Norman Bates is like calling into a like late night talk radio. Yeah, where he kind of explains all this stuff of like mother and how he grew up. I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch Bates Motel?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's a really good show. Or is, whatever.
Yeah, it just ended. Inchman, was there a question from the Facebook or the chat room?
Yes, I believe there was one from the chat room. Let's see. Who's your highway? He wants to know if you knew the ECW zombie.
I don't know. I feel like, okay, I want to say I don't know who it was, but I feel like whoever that zombie was would be like, Shelley, you don't know that was me? So sorry, zombie. But
yeah, he passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago.
But,
yeah. Tim Arson, I believe.
That's
was
right, yeah. Good, yeah.
It was his name.
Yeah. He only made a couple appearances. Maybe just one appearance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was caned by the Sandman. So, what did you think of your TNA run overall? And what was it like being part of LAX?
At first, it was really awesome. And I thought, yeah, man, like, it's not like WWE. It's an easier schedule. Since SoCal Val was 14, I've been friends with her, so it was a great way for me to see SoCal Val more often. And then, I don't know, people, I'm just being honest, so sorry people out there listening, no offense. But people just started showing their true colors, and it really sucked, and it really ruined the fun, and it just wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of, like, the creative people or the people that make the decisions would tell Homicide or Hernandez things about me, like, oh, can you tell Shelley this, and this? I'd go up to them, like, tell me, it's my character, like, tell me. And I had a lot of fun with it because, you know, I grew up with Mexican gangbanger cousins, and I would make fun of them. And so for me, being Salinas was very, I don't know, it was just like a comic relief to me the whole time. I thought it was freaking hilarious. Like, and then I thought, oh my gosh, first I got to be a vampire. Now I get to be a chola. Like, my wrestling career is really awesome. Like, I get to be things that, like, I think are awesome. So there's also that part of it too. But just the damn people, man, the fake and phony people, and then cutthroat people. Oh, it's just too much. So, you know, and then another thing that was really annoying is they kept telling me that I was going to be on the house shows. And so it was really hard, you know, especially living in Los Angeles, to live on the pay that they were giving me when it wasn't house show included. So they kept telling me that I was going to be on the house show. So I wouldn't go on auditions, or if I got a booking for acting or modeling and it was during that house show period, I wouldn't go, or I would tell them I wasn't available because I was thinking I was unavailable. So then the last minute, they'd always tell me, oh, you're not in the house show after all. So it was getting like super, super annoying because they were just affecting my life. I was trying to at least make it work, So when I had this part offered to me, I told TNA that, because there was going to be a pay-per-view on a Sunday. So that like Monday or Tuesday is when these people that hired me, and I was the lead in the movie, wanted me for the shoot. So I said, well, how about this? There's a pay-per-view coming up, and at the time LAX was feuding with Bubba and Devon. So I said, what if I just go through a table at the pay-per-view, and then that explains why I'm not there for the next tapings, like after it, and then I'll come back, like no big deal. So then they were like, no, that's not going to work. And then I asked them, I said, okay, my contract is supposed to get renewed next month. And if it would have got renewed, I'd get $100 more per show. So I will blow off this production I'm a part of if you guys can just give me the $100 now, like the bump now. Then they said if I went, and the pay-per-view was in Canada, they said, well, just come to the show and we'll talk about it. And I knew that was their way of saying, just get there so we can use you, and we're not going to give you a $100 bump. So then that's when I said, forget it. And then that's what went down with me and TNA. So, and again, there's just like WWE times I've tried to go back because like, that's all I know, you know what I mean? Like wrestling for how long. So, and then I had that awful match with Rebel, and I was just like, dude, I'm just over this. Like, I'm just done. And so much like WWE, I had some awesome memories, some really cool moments, but found out that that's just not a good work environment for me.
Well, you do sound very sensitive, so I think that's probably for the best for you. But I do like, Thirsty Thursdays on your YouTube. So what's your favorite drink of choice?
Mine, well, it kind of depends on my mood, but I typically do a red wine or champagne.
Okay. When you were in Kentucky, what did you think of being in Kentucky? And there's a lot of bourbon in Kentucky, so I don't know if you partake in any of the bourbon.
Bourbon? No, Not so much. It was interesting because I didn't even become a drinker until I was on the road in WWE, to be honest with you, because I was always afraid to throw up. Like, I always thought, oh my God, I'm going to throw up if I drink. And I am like one of those people, like, I know that there's a Seinfeld episode where he's like, I haven't thrown up in whatever many years. I used to be that person. Like, I haven't thrown up in how many years? So I was a late drinker, and I just felt like I had to build a tolerance for all this other stuff. So I just I'm not going to. So when I first was in Kentucky, I was not a drinker, and it was fine. Like, I was really interested in seeing how different it was. And it was very different from LA, and Ontario is where I grew up. It's like 40 miles east of LA. So it was really different, but I liked it. I liked how there were seasons and, but at the same time, it was easy for me to like it because I would go to training. I had friends that were wrestlers, so we'd go to training together. We'd go to the gym together. We would hang out together. So it's always like you're with your friends. So I really had a good time. I had a really awesome memories that I've made there. My dog, Ethel, that's what I said. I tweeted not so long ago. I said, you know what? At the end of the day, if WWE never hired me, I would have never had my dog, Ethel. So, I can't, that's like the best thing that came out of wrestling for me, honestly, is I was able to go to Kentucky. She's a mini pinscher. I had Fred.
Oh my God, I had a min pin for 20 years.
Pardon?
I had a min pin for 20 years.
Oh, that's so great to hear.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
He was the best. Mm-hmm.
Well, Fred, my boy, is 18, or he's going to be 18, and my girl is going to be 13. So it's kind of crazy, but, it's just one of those things where, I don't know, you know how it is, your pets and people out there, pet owners, your animals. I always say, when I've been the lowest of lows, my dogs have been with me and they don't judge me. So they're so freaking awesome. I don't know what I'd do without them. We were on the Dog Whisperer actually years ago.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, they're famous. But that's the number one thing I got from wrestling is I got my girl Ethel.
Oh, that's very nice. That's definitely worth it. And since you're in LA, have you ever been to the Magic Castle?
I've been there twice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because the last time I was there, they actually hired me to test out doing on Valentine's Day a like singles mixer, but we didn't do it anymore after that because we realized that when you go to the Magic Castle, about I'd say 98% of the people there have a date already. So
right, yeah.
But it was cool. It was my way to get in there, and I used to be a huge fan of magic. Some magicians or illusionists kind of ruined it for me, but whatever. So yeah, it was really cool in there, though. I love the decor and the theme of it all. It's pretty cool. How about you? Have you been there?
Yeah, when I was in LA a few years ago, Annabelle and I went there. Because I didn't realize at the time till after I came back, it's very hard to get into. But a friend of mine got us passes for one of the days we were there. Yeah, it was a great time,
awesome.
and I helped out in I forget the name of the room. It's like the up close magic room, I think it is, and I was like the assistant with the card trick.
So look at you!
Yeah, it was a good time. So, how can you follow yourself online and find out all these videos and everything you do?
Alrighty, well, you guys got your pen and papers out? Here you go. So you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's at Shelley from Cali, SHELLY FROMCALI. On Snapchat, at Shelley from Cali and the number 4. On Facebook, Shelley from Cali. I try to keep it consistent.
Sure.
My website is shellymartinez.net, and I have a fan site, which is patreon.com/Shelly Martinez. And all this stuff is on my Twitter and Instagram, you guys. So you can just go on there and it'll link together. But that's really my focus in life right now is my Secret Society Patreon page, because of that page and my awesome Secret Society patrons, shout out to all of them, I'm able to do things on my terms, and I really love that. And another shout out to this YouTuber Stefanka. She's the one who introduced me to Patreon, and it really showed me that there's a way that you can do what you love and you can totally do it on your freaking terms. And I think that's so empowering. So if anyone out there is a creator or you make some kind of content or offer something, you should check out Patreon. I think it's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And I did watch one of your videos, and Inchman here has a Patreon.
Yeah,
I don't think he has any content on it, but
I have content on it, and I've made 78 cents. There you go.
Oh, amigo, you need to go against you need to change your whole channel and how you're approaching it all.
Oh no.
Well, he hasn't updated it, I think, since July, so that's probably a reason.
That's why. You got to be consistent, man. Oh, before I forget, and I also have a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Lucha, LUCHA, Gal, GAL 909. So you guys should all subscribe, and there's a lot of cool stuff on there. I've been posting videos for many, 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 many years. So if you guys get bored and you want to check some stuff out, you should go on there because there's a lot of kookiness on there. And there's a lot of cool stuff, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually watching some of your videos before the interview tonight. And that's I was watching Thirsty Thursdays because I like to drink.
When I told the guy off.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, there was a guy who was asking for pictures of your toes, I believe. And,
oh my God, he kept saying, show your toes. And because here's the thing, this is why I got upset, okay? And he ruined Thirsty Thursday, by the way. So this guy kept, because, okay, my sister and I, we do a lot of different stuff together. We're always doing videos, chats, whatever. So every usually it's Wednesday, Wine Wednesday, but whenever we can't do it on the first Wednesday of the month, we do it on Thursday. So that's when we have Thirsty Thursday. And we use my phone and use Periscope for the tasting. And when we're going through it, I'm trying to be interactive with everyone that's like listening to us and writing their comments and stuff. So when this guy keeps posting over and over and over, it's like distracting because he keeps popping up about our stupid toes. So I thought, you know what, fine. All right, I'm starting to feel a little buzz now, so let's get real, bro. It's like, okay, so you want to see our toes? Why? Like, let's talk about it. You're bringing it up, but I'm curious. Like, enlighten me. And he just wouldn't admit that it was his fetish, but it clearly was. And it's funny because I go off on the guy, and you think that he's going to be like, okay, either leave the room and tell me to F myself, or just stop talking. But no, there he goes. So can we see them or something? Oh my God! Like, no. And it's funny because when I was living it, it wasn't funny.
Right.
But when I went to like clean up the video and put my little intro in it, and I was watching it, I was like laughing. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so mad! I'm just so mad."
So intro, you can admit now you did. Why did you want to see your toes?
That's the thing. I mean, there was no payoff. Like, and I even said in there at one point something like, well, when this guy's jacking off.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I was so mad.
Is that one of the, well, I assume there's probably like cruder requests, but is that one of the weirder requests from people watching the videos?
Well, see, that's the thing, and I think that's why it was cool talking about it, because, I mean, dude, I get asked that all the time. It's not, like, taboo, I feel. Mm-hmm. So where I was coming from is I wanted to understand the foot fetish, and I know everyone has them for different reasons, so that's what I wanted to hear. But I don't know what the weirdest thing, I mean, I've had a lot, and right when I think something's really weird, somebody else will ask for it, so then I'm like, dude, I guess there are people out there that are into this stuff. I don't know. You know what? Something I'll put myself on blast a little bit here. Something I did, and it was so creepy to me that I stopped doing it, was a guy was handsomely paying for some photos where I'm in my wrestling gear and it looks like I'm passed out. And then, like, he wanted, at first it was like, just like I got knocked out. Okay, cool, whatever. Like, what are you going to do? And then he was like, but I want drooling. And I thought that was really weird, but I thought, I do custom photos, like, okay, fine. And when I say custom, I don't mean wrestling custom. Like, I do photo shoots, like a model. Like, people will order a photo shoot and I'll do it. So I was just like, okay, well, I mean, like, this is for my wrestling gear on, it's fine. And then he wanted me to put an L on my forehead, like a loser. And like a loser, fellas, I did it a couple times, and it made me feel so weird and creepy and not cool. Then I just was like, I can't do this anymore. So I think that was the most uncomfortable because the way he worded it sounded so innocent, and maybe I was just like being desperate and wanting to believe that it was fine. But, like, that was really weird. And the worst part is like, taking the pictures and I'm looking back at them and I'm like, oh, my God, that looks, like, really ugly. And then I'm thinking, there's, like, so unflattering and, like, creepy. And then I sent them and he's like, oh, it's perfect. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is not cool, man. This is not cool.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to pretend that a lot of people ask me for something like that. But I have a very bizarre request someone asked. But I probably shouldn't say it here because they might be listening to the show.
Oh my!
He might. Well, I won't say anything. But someone asked me. They wanted me to like choke them between my thighs while they were dressed as a French fry. It's very bizarre.
Alrighty.
But that never happened, and I don't think it will, unless they have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pay pretty handsomely.
Yeah.
If Incher wins the lottery,
to each their own, I suppose.
Right. Well,
but my thing is where's the gratification? Like, that's what I want. Like the toes guy. Like, I'm not trying to judge. I'm like legitimately curious. It's like why? Like, okay, that's cool, and maybe I don't even agree or understand 100%, but like I just want to know the thinking behind it. And it's so crazy that people, because this toe guy isn't the first time I called somebody out. Like, I've asked people before, like, why do you like that? Like, and they get all weird and defensive. And I'm thinking to myself, you're the one that started this. Like, you opened that can of worms. I'm just like, you're lucky I didn't tell you to F off and then block you or something. So I'm actually taking the time to hear out, like, how come? Why? How come? How come they wanted you to choke them out like that? Like, why? Why?
Well, I took a picture called Guys and Fries as a joke. I made a fake magazine called Guys and Fries, and the idea was it was burly men with French fries, and I guess that's why he wanted to become a French fry.
So you were putting some advertisement out there, some feelers. Okay.
Exactly. See, right. I gotta before I start my Patreon, I gotta see.
You gotta get that content.
Right. Exactly.
You gotta get that content, man.
Yeah. When I took those pictures, it was when Intra and I were sharing a room, and it was the last time he ever shared a room with me.
Yeah.
So
it was my fries that he took to use for the picture. And I've never looked at a French fry the same again.
But maybe there's a conspiracy theory here. Maybe the reason why that was last time, because maybe he has his own separate Patreon where he's doing that now because he got the idea from you.
Oh, my idea.
Yeah. Don't clue him in on this. Don't just leave it alone.
It's I don't think everyone knows furries, but there's a thing called woolies, and if you ever Google it, it's like people. This is their fiction. They're dressed in like not just sweaters, but like layers of sweaters where you can't see any skin. And I don't. That's one I don't. I like you. I'd like to just like talk to a woolly and understand.
I just want to know, like, especially when it's okay. I mean, call me like programmed. I don't know, but to me, I generally feel that people are attracted to, like, you know, maybe seeing someone's eyes or some cleavage or like, you know what I mean? Like, we're visual people, right?
Yeah.
So that's why things like the toes or the French fry or you know, the covering up everything, like, why does that excite them, and why does that what is that switch? And I'm so curious, and I really wish. And you know what's crazy? I actually I have a Patreon member, and I actually asked him some questions. His thing is nylon. So I asked him, you know, I was like, hey, and he really went there, and he really told me a lot of things, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, okay, now I get it. I get you. So I have one success story of like this, like somebody having a fetish and explaining why, but typically they get mad. It's weird.
Well, I guess one thing too, like, seriously, answer that question is some people might not have an answer as to why. Like someone who's like blondes, they might just, there's no reason, that's just what they're into. So maybe they don't know the reason why they're into toes or woolies or, you know, whatever it is. Just you like what you like. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But there's a reason, and if you ask that question, maybe you can make someone itch that little scratch that they didn't know they had, and they can figure it out, but they get mad. Maybe that's why they get mad. Their mechanism is
they have
defensive.
They're looking into themselves.
Anyways, different podcast.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to Your Head Wrestling Podcast, and we're talking about woolies. But it was really fun talking to you, and you're welcome back anytime.
Awesome. Just let me know, and I will make some time for you fellas.
All right. So join us next week when Shelley's back. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, thanks. It was a lot of fun, and I'll put all the links on the website. So if people can't spell or they can't remember, they can click right on it.
Well, that'll be awesome, because, you know, sometimes it is hard when you're listening to something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wait, what? And, you know, sometimes you try to go back, you go too far. I already heard this.
Yes, I remember. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know, it's a bitch. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you very much. And it was just a little bit over a half hour. Almost an hour. But
well, whatever. We got in the flow of talking about fetishes and all, so what did you expect?
Exactly. All right, well, have a good night, and thanks. This was really fun.
All right, adios. Bye.
Bye.
This is Vince Russo, everybody, and you are listening to In Your Head. Bro,